the masked gentleman suddenly attacked him and bit off his ear. Young Zai looked at this guy and thought that his eyesight was not bad. And I asked the man, what is the reason? The man hesitated and said that the reason. But he was interrupted by the suddenly appeared preacher of the Organization of Saints, whose name is Mantes with a two-handed sword. He said that there was no other reason, because it was obvious what was on his mind. I wanted to do something with this kid's sister. Young Zai was horrified and asked what. He saw a girl in the corner. The Mantes with the two-handed sword said that what a pity she was scared to death. Young Zai was still terrified and thought it was a bunch of jerks. A Mantes with a two-handed sword approached the masked gentleman and told his brother that he thought he was enjoying his vacation with might and main, and asked him what brought him here. How does he like the two blondes he recommended to him? The masked gentleman said they were good, of course, but today he came here to help the commander of the Deep Sea Army check the condition of the goods. He ordered to release this guy, because they can pay a large sum for him. A Mantes with a two-handed sword approached this guy, grabbed him by the face and asked if he was really saving his life. He doesn't mind. Even if this brat from the first territory loses all his teeth, he can still be sold at a high price. The guy said in another language that he would kill them all. The masked gentleman told the guy to be patient a little more, and soon he would fulfill his wish. A Mantes with a two-handed sword asked him if he really understood their language, to which the masked gentleman replied that, and not only, he promised to fulfill his wish and started he came here in vain. Doesn't he think so? After that, the masked gentleman pierced through the Mantes with a two-handed sword. The Mantes asked his brother why, to which the masked man replied that because they are similar to him, they come from the same places. Then the Mantes with the two-handed sword realized that he was not a masked gentleman. But it was too late, because the masked gentleman cut off his head. All this was watched by the man whose ear was bitten off by the guy and the guard who brought the masked gentleman here. The man asked what happened, and the guard called out to the masked gentleman. The masked gentleman told them that they would all die here. Then he killed them all. Yang Zai received their abilities. The guy said his name was Yu Fan and asked the masked gentleman who he was. Yu Fan asked the masked gentleman who he was, to which the masked gentleman replied that he was the one who came to save him. Yu Fan said that he had heard that he had bullied the children here not long ago. We in the mask said that he would soon find out how it would turn out, and he cut the chains of his power, thereby freeing Yu Fan. The masked gentleman told him to wait here for a couple of minutes, but first he needed to deal with the people outside. Yu Fan got up and went to his sister, who was already dead. Seeing this, Yang Zai remembered his sister. He came out of the cell and someone shouted that they needed to grab him. The masked gentleman was surrounded. He shouted at them to die and called them garbage. Then he chopped them all into pieces. The Lord of Sound appeared behind him, who said it was impressive, and greeted the spearmen. He told his companion that they were surrounding the masked gentleman together and would see if he could escape. The spearman said it was good, and he told his friend that he would attack first. The Lord of Sound said that before the music starts, he used his ability, and everyone began to have a terrible headache. Yang Zai thought that his music might provoke a nervous breakdown in people, but fortunately his nervous system is strong enough. But these children will definitely not stand it. We need to get rid of it as soon as possible. He pretended that he was defeated. The Lord of Sound said that no one can resist him, and he told the masked gentleman to burn in hell. But the masked gentleman used Yang Zai's force and disappeared. Then he appeared in another place. He appeared above the Lord of Sound and kicked him in the back. The Lord of Sound coughed up blood and shouted to his friend to save him. Then the spearman threw his spear at him. But even this did not overcome the masked gentleman. After that, the masked gentleman killed the Lord of Sound. The spearman was shocked and asked if he had really killed him, and asked the masked gentleman that why does he attach their organization. The masked gentleman asked what for the sake of these children and in the name of justice. The spearman asked him again, what in the name of justice? Does the masked gentleman think he's doing better? But even after defeating him, he cannot escape from here. The spearman is forced to inform him that the commander of the Deep Sea Army is already on his way here. The masked gentleman asked if they really wanted to die. After all, he will kill every one of them. The spearman used his power and called the masked gentleman an idiot, and told him that if he came up, he would kill him. The masked gentleman repelled his attack, thereby killing the spearman. The masked gentleman exhaled after his victory and said that it was painful. The boy who watched the battle from behind the bars said that his brother was wounded. The masked gentleman said it was nothing, all for the sake of their salvation. He opened the cages and told them to get out quickly and not push. They need to get out of there one at a time. Then Yu Fan came around the corner and carried his sister. Yu Fan was very serious and said he didn't want to suffer because of his own weakness. He wants to become as strong as the masked gentleman, and asked him if he can become his teacher. The masked gentleman said that of course, but he must swear eternal loyalty to him. Is he ready for this? Yu Fan said he was ready. He would become his most devoted disciple. Yang Zai used his puppet control ability and handed the pill to Yu Fan, saying that he should take it. Yu Fan asked, "What is it?" It was a pill, the power of a mantis. The masked gentleman said that this is an ability that will allow him to turn his hands into balls, as the mantis did. Now Yu Fan will be able to ensure his safety for a while. Yu Fan thanked his master. Then he left. When Yu Fan left, the masked man said that he had to deal with the corpses next. Did he start pulling abilities out of them? After he did this, the masked gentleman said that last time he had to make a lot of mistakes before he managed to get 2 balls from a frog and wavy horses. And now he has managed to collect so many of them. People and monsters are so weak. To begin with, he decided to improve the ability to exchange shadows to a rank. And now it should be easier for him in the battle with the priest. He combined the abilities, and he got a rank ability. The name of this ability was Shadow Exchange. Description: Shadow cloning a maximum of 5 pieces during the battle, one of them can move into place. The shadow of another person is able to create a shadow weapon to attack. Assessment: when bored, you can play with your own shadow. When the masked gentleman finished all his business there, he came out of the red container. But then he was met by a woman who poked him with her sword. She asked him who he was and where all these children came from. He must answer her immediately. The masked gentleman asked what and who is she. Then the kids gathered around this girl and began to say that this Sister Blanche. They were very happy to see her. One of the children told Sister Blanche that this hero had saved them. Another boy picked him up and said yes, this hero injured himself when he tried to protect them. She must not misunderstand him. Then Blanche was very embarrassed and, addressing the masked gentleman, said that since this was the case, she apologized to him. The masked gentleman said that everything was fine. And I asked her, is she really the heroine of the rank swordswoman Blanche? Blanche said that yes, she had received information that people were being trafficked here, so she rushed to rescue them. She really didn't expect the masked gentleman to do it before her. Blanche sat down and patted Yu Fan and apologized for being late. Then something started happening, and the children were terrified. The masked gentleman asked what was going on here. Children began to be dragged down by plants. They shouted to their brother and sisters to save them. The children were very scared, and everyone was calling for help. Yu Fan called out to his master. The masked gentleman told Yu Fan to wait here and he would save them. The bloodthirsty Rose asked him what would really save him. Let him not make her laugh with these statements. Did he think he was a hero? Their commander called out to bloodthirsty Rose, the commander of the Deep Sea Army and the wizard of the Great Earth. He told them to show this bug the power of the saints, and applied the ability of the powers of magical healing. Bloodthirsty Rose said that using abilities with such a large range is definitely very tiring. But with this power, which was given to her by the High Priest, and their abilities will be restored in a moment. The High Priest turned to the swordswoman Blanche and said that she was not allowed to touch the goods of the Organization of Saints. She must surrender now, and then he would spare her life. Therefore, he turned to the masked gentleman and said that as for this traitor, he should die here. Yang Zai thought that if they really die, they will still see which one of them will die. Swordswoman Blanche thought that if he was just a B-rank hero, then she would be able to handle him. But with a rank fighter, like priests, there would be big problems. And she told the High Priest that the Association of Heroes was already on its way. They should immediately let go of their weapons and they are destined to die in case of disobedience. So they should surrender as soon as possible. The High Priest only sighed and told Bloodthirsty Rose, the commander of the Deep Sea Army and the wizard of the Great Earth, to deal with the swordswoman Blanche as soon as possible. They must catch her before the arrival of the Heroes Association. Swordswoman Blanche took out her sword and activated the power of the seal. The masked gentleman was very surprised and said that she was able to release such a dangerous ability as befits a rank heroine. The wizard of the Great Land used the ability of the sand magic circle to stop the swordswoman Blanche. But that didn't stop Blanche. She rushed at the commander of the Deep Sea Army, activating the seal force. The commander of the Deep Sea Army used the ability to establish the flow, and Blanche used the ability to dissect the sword. But then she was surprised by a bloodthirsty Rose, who decided to blackmail the girl and grabbed one of the children. Bloodthirsty Roses laughed and said that now he would become her victim, and use this child as a shield to stop the swordswoman Blanche's ability. Blanche was very angry and said that Bloodthirsty Roses used the child as a human shield. How disgusting it is. To which the Bloodthirsty Rose replied that kindness was her weakness. She has a lot of